fish.
One meal a day. By the way, this is a white wine?
I'll have a little bit. Yeah, just a little too much. I'm a bit spaced out from the flight still, yeah.
Jet lag?
You're very slim. You've always been very slim. And,
Jeans.
I'm a bit like that. Since I gave up smoking, I've developed a tremendously sweet tooth because there's a lot of sugar in tobacco, which people didn't realise. You actually absorb a lot of sugar. The feeling of lethargy and fatigue when you give up smoking at first, it was a sudden loss of blood sugar.
Right,
it's not the loss of nicotine. Very few people realise this, and I heard a doctor on the radio giving advice to non-smokers, one of these talk-ins, and people giving up smoking. And this one was saying, I tried giving up smoking and I felt so tired and creaky and exhausted that I had flu coming on. She said, oh, I suppose that must be something to do with the nicotine, but that should go away, shouldn't it? But he didn't say that you absorb a lot of sugar through it. It was obviously just loss of blood sugar she was suffering from.
Indulge yourself in something else.
Have a lot of cakes or something. So Carlos Castaneda didn't really entertain me much. How would I approach him if I wanted to meet him? Is there any way? Or not really?
I would impress him with your importance and the importance of the London Times in a subtle way. And, I think he would be responsive to prestige.
But, I don't know, he's not in the phone book, presumably.
I'll try to make
quite an interesting kind of sidelight on a trip to California.
I'll try to make some phone calls for you.
I'd like to meet him. I wouldn't include him in this article, but I maybe do it in some other way, you know. And this reflecting process interests me rather often. I wonder what I find reflected, as it were. How old is he then, about 50 or so?
I'd say 40.
Was he married and sort of happily married with kids and stuff like that?
No, well, I'm not up to date. I'm about 3 years out of date. I have a book, one of the Don Juan papers, written by a man who's been a Castaneda detective for years. I can give you that man's address. You might be able to, I'm not making phone calls, so it's about 100 miles north of here. And I'll loan you the book if you see what...
If I get anywhere, don't unless I actually get somewhere.
Yeah, because you should definitely read his book before you see Castaneda. Castaneda was married for 98 years. And the wife, American woman, told man DeMille, who wrote the book, that he's as much a mystery to her after 8 years as he is to anyone else.
Really?
She told this wonderful story, which I think is absolutely epitomizes Castaneda. When they were separated, divorcing, she was living in Philadelphia or New York, and Castaneda was in Philadelphia or New York, and they got together for a weekend. It was kind of a little fling weekend, you know, spent together, had a good time. And she was perhaps hopeful they'd get back together, but then he disappeared. So I saw him a couple years later, and she said something about that. Such a wonderful weekend we had in New York, and how come you never called me back? And he said, what are you talking about? We didn't have a weekend in New York. The Hotel Plaza? No, I've never been to the Hotel Plaza. What are you talking about?
Was that him playing the bit, do you think? freaking out his old wife.
Well, I know that's what he did with me. He said, at the time I just broken up with this woman, Annette, who was a Swedish model. And he said to me, I'm just breaking up with my wife, and she's Swedish too. And he thought that I'd be upset, or that, that I wasn't upset about the separation, but I mean, he was just making all that up just to...
Well, that would frustrate me enormously. I can't stand it when people can't stop playing. I've got a friend who actually had a big